In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Midjourney to create awesome images for your blog posts on autopilot. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a design brief to send over to Midjourney, and in that design brief there'll be everything that Midjourney needs for us to create an image that is on brand, that works with the rest of the website, but is also tailored specifically to that blog post. And then we're going to grab that image, we're going to resize it and compress it so that it's small enough to use on a web page, because the images that come out of Midjourney are going to be multiple megabytes. We need to reduce that size down. So we're going to do all that all in an automated way and upload that image to WordPress. Furthermore, we're going to save that image so that we can use it subsequently in our social media posts. If you're interested in this automation and grabbing hold of the unbelievable opportunity that exists today for AI automators, then I recommend you check out my school community, where you can download this blueprint, many more, and be up and running in a matter of minutes. It's this simple. Navigate to the blueprint you want to download in the school community, go over to make.com and select import blueprint, and you're ready to go. In the school community, we also have automation learning materials and access to a full calendar of events, including masterclasses, Q&As, co-working sessions, and live streams. When it comes to AI automation, if you want to up your game, then this community is for you. Head over to school.com/AI-automations to get started. Now back to the video. So let's dive in. Enjoy the video. So there's a couple of tools you're going to need. The first is userapi.ai. So given that Midjourney isn't natively available in make.com, we have to use the third-party service, and that third-party service is userapi.ai. So we can use this service to create images in Midjourney. The second service that we need is Malibu. So Malibu is a service that allows us to work with images, so we can resize and compress images in order to make them a small enough size for our website. So we're going to be uploading an image to our blog. When they come out of Midjourney, these images are huge. The size of them are megabytes. We want to compress that right down to just a few kilobytes before we upload it to our blog. So we'll also need Malibu for this automation. Now the good news is both of those services are really cheap to use. You can credit them up with a few dollars, and they'll last for quite a long time. So although you do need a few external tools, the cost is actually quite minimal. So I'm going to start off where we left off in the last video. So if you haven't watched the last video yet, this is where we created as much content as we wanted from RSS feeds for our crypto news website. So in this automation, we created an artwork design brief to send to Midjourney. So we're going to start here. The first step is to take that brief and use API.ai to then send that brief to Midjourney so we can create an image for our blog. So I'm going to take this user API module, put it to the end of our automation here, and then I'm going to use a prompt, which I've used here before. Paste it in. You're an experienced designer for a crypto news company. Create an image using the following brief from your project manager. So we need to go here and just put in the brief that we created earlier in the automation, which is the artwork brief. So I put that in here. And the webhook type, we want to make sure we only post when the curation of the image is complete. So post data when complete. We don't want to know when there's an update in the percentage of how complete the image is in being created. So we just want the data to be sent once the image is complete and created. The other thing is that once we've created and generated the image in Midjourney, we need to send it somewhere. So we need to create a webhook to go ahead and pick up that image when it arrives. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Make again, and we're going to create a new scenario. So I'll click Create New Scenario. And here we're going to create the webhook, custom webhook. So we're going to add a new webhook here. So this webhook is going to be called Midjourney Demo Webhook. Let's call it the school webhook. Okay, click Save. Okay, so this is the URL of the webhook. So I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard, and now go back to automation, go back into here, and paste the URL into there. So what this literally going to do is user API is going to go off, request a image creation from Midjourney. So if you've used Midjourney at all before, you'll know it takes, I don't know, 30-40 seconds to create an image. So that'll happen in the background, and once that's done, it will post the result to Make Automation. When you create an image in Midjourney for the first time, you get a series of 4 images that you create. So you don't get one image on its own, you get 4 images, and you need to choose one of those images. So we'll do that in the next step. Click OK. And we can just test this through. So if I just click save here, if I run this webhook, and this webhook's just waiting to receive data. So if I run through this automation, okay, so user API has sent the image. So this is the design brief that it's sent over. So that's what's been sent to Midjourney. Now it takes 30 or 40 seconds for the image to be created. So we'll go over to our other make scenario and we'll wait for that data to come in. And here it is. So we can see if we go to the result, we can see we have a URL here which contains our image. So if I copy that and show that here. So this is the 4 images that our design brief has created. So in the next step, we need to take one of these 4 images and use it, or just select the one that we want and to use in our blog article. So if I go to here, again, we can use user API for this. So user API.ai, and then we need to do upscale. So upscale an image by position. So upscaling essentially means we're picking one of the images for it to be our final image. So in here, we just need to put in the hash of the image that needs to be upscaled. So the hash is, in this case, is here. And we also need to say the position of the image to be upscaled. So we don't know, this is going to be automated. So, you can select image 1, image 2, image 3, or image 4. I mean, out of these, I probably prefer image 3, but we're not going to know this is going to be automated. So I was just, pick image 1. And again, we need to create another webhook to post the final image to. So our final image, this one single image on its own that's going to be uploaded to our post. We need to create another webhook to receive that data once the image has been upscaled. So the upscaling process is a lot quicker than the image creation process. But again, we need to go in and create another make scenario. So I'll go ahead and do that. Again, I'm going to go in and create a new scenario, create another webhook here. So it's going to be Midjourney school upscale. Click save. This is the address. We copy again, that's the clipboard. Go back into our other scenario and then we paste in the webhook here. And that's it. So we click OK. So now we can test this, that this is working. So again, if I run this webhook, so it's just running in the background. I'll also run this one, so it's just running in the background. Again, we'll go ahead and run this automation and see what we get. Okay, so it's about to run user API.ai. So it's, again, our design brief is in here. We go into here and we wait for that. Okay, again, if we take a look at the result here, and copy this in. This is the 4 images that got created this time around, actually pretty similar to last time. I guess it's the same input, so not surprising. Okay, so now in the final webhook, we should have received the URL of one single image. So if I go and copy that in here, open another new tab, and this is the single image. So this is the first image that we got upscaled here, and this is the final image that we're going to use in our blog and on our social media. So ultimately, the next step is that we want to add this image to our blog, but there's a number of things we've got to do before we get there. First of all, we've got to retrieve the blog itself in order for us to then go and update that blog with the image. Before that, we've also got to resize the image. The image at the moment is pretty big and is actually quite a few megabytes. So we need to reduce the size of that image, both in terms of the dimensions, but also in terms of the size, in terms of megabytes down to kilobytes. So that's our next steps. So the first step is that we want to go ahead and we want to go and get the WordPress blog that we want to update so that we can update the image. However, we've got no context at the moment of that. So if we do get a post by its ID, but we've got no way of understanding what that post was. So we need to have a data store where we can store the ID of the blog that we're going to update. So you can store, data anywhere you'd like, but the make.com itself has built-in data stores which make things really quite easy. So if you go over here to data stores, if I open that in a new tab, so I can simply just go ahead and click add data store. I'm going to call this my Midjourney upscales database, and I'll put that as school so that I know it's for the demo here. And the database structure. So in the data structure, this data structure is, what is it that I need to store within the database? So first of all, I need to store the ID of the post. I'll put that in there. I'm going to keep that as text. It's required, yes, because without the post ID, it's useless. So I'm going to make sure that we get the ID of the post. And the second thing is that I need to get the URL of the image that we're going to upload into the data store. So again, that can be text. Is it required? No, because initially we're going to upload the post ID. We won't know the image URL at that point. So if I click save here, 1 megabyte of data storage should be enough at the moment. You can always up that later as well. So if I click save, if I go here and edit this, or browse this, should I say, you can see we've got the key, which is just the primary key for the database, the post ID and the image URL. So now I need to go back to my original automation and we need to add to the database. So data store, I'm going to go add, replace a record. So the data store is this one. The reason we need to update the database at this stage is because we need to save the hash of the upscale task to pass via the webhook into our new automation. So every single task that gets created using user API has this own unique hash for the task. So this hash is different to the hash that we had in the last task. The hash that we've just passed over from the last task that came from the previous automation is this hash here. So it's not this one. So when we're searching the database or updating the database, the key is not this unique hash. This is the new task, the upscale task. The original hash is this one, and this is what we need to put into the key field here so that we can update the database. So we want to save this new hash because when we pass the data from the upscale task to the new webhook, we're not going to have this hash to be able to search the database and ultimately find out what post we need to update in our WordPress installation. So we actually need to add an additional field here. So if I click OK, we can go back to our database in here. If we go to edit, we just need to add again another new item in here. So this is we're going to call this the final image hash. That'll do. It's going to be text. Click save. Click save. So now if we go and browse our database, we should see that new field in there. There it is, final image hash. So we go back to our automation. We click into here. Hopefully we'll find that new field here. There it is, the final image hash. So we're updating the record that has this hash, which was the original hash. We are inserting into there the unique hash of the new task. So this will be saved in our database that we can search for in the next step, and I'll show you that. You don't have to do this, but I tend to just put the image URL in here as well. So this is the image of the 4 images that we got from Midjourney. Ultimately, the image URL is going to be the final image that we use, but just for debugging purposes and why not, I inserted the image there just so that we've got easy access to that. So I've got OK there. So what we need to do here is to be able to search our database for the record that we created. So let's do search records. Let's put that in. Select our data store. And the filter is we want to search for the field on the unique hash. So we'll put in there and we put the hash in there. And that will search and find our record for us. And we'll run it again. Okay, we're going to run the previous webhook as well, and we'll take a look in the database and see what's been added there. And then finally, we're going to run this one through again. Okay, so that's completed the first automation. So if we go and look at our data store now, we should be able to see some data in there. So we got that article with the key and the post ID. This is the post ID in WordPress that we'll be able to, again, take a look at and update with the image. So let's go to our webhook here. We can see that's now run. We've gone and asked the user API.ai to go and upscale that image that we want, the one in the first position. And that has also ran as well. So that upscaling should be done. If we take a look in the database now, we should have, I'll refresh the page, and there we go. So we have the URL of the image that's been created, post ID, and that unique hash that we needed to be able to identify that record. So if I go to a new tab and take a look, again, this is the 4 images that were created for the latest article. Now there's a number of things we want to do to this image before we actually go and upload it to the post. We want to resize the image and we want to compress the image, because the size of the image that comes out of Midjourney is in the order of megabytes, and that's just too big for us. So we want to make sure that we can reduce the size of that image right down so that it's suitable to upload to a website. The page won't load really slowly. It's really bad for SEO and all those kind of things. So if we take a look here, we can see the size of the image is pretty big already. So that's 1.7, 1.8 meg, 1.7.5 meg, too big. So next step is that we're going to go ahead and use this module here, which is called image, and you can do resize. You can just go ahead and resize image. And what we're going to do next is we're going to not let Make just figure this out on its own, which you can do with this. We're going to go and map the data, map the fields that we want. And the reason that we want to do this is because we want to give it its own specific file name. If you use this, it kind of tends to use the same file name repeatedly. So you want to leave this as the default, which is change the image dimensions while maintaining the height width ratio. The other option is change the image dimensions to a specified height and width. Yeah, obviously we don't want to do that because that could stretch the image. So we just want to maintain the height width ratio here. Maximum width is fine. For our purposes, it doesn't need to be particularly big. So 600 pixels is fine. This is fine for social media. This is fine for the space that we have on our website. It's not a particularly big image that we need for that. We're just going to map those fields, and we're going to rename this file name so that we have something unique every time. You can use any number of things, but I just use the post ID. That's something that's going to be unique and different every time. So if I do post ID.png, and that will be the file name, the image file name, which will get uploaded into WordPress. So the next step is actually that we want to compress the image. We use a service called Malibu to compress the image. However, what you'll find is we need to pass an image URL into Malibu for the image that we want to compress. Well, we don't have an image URL at the moment out of this module. All we have is the data. So one way I figured out to get around this is that we just need a temporary data store. We just need to be able to upload this data to somewhere so that we have a URL that we can pass into Malibu. That could be anywhere. It could be Google Drive, but I figured we may as well just use WordPress for that. So what I will do here is you do create a media item. See, it's the wrong spot. Create a media item. And again, we want to map the data is fine. Actually, the data is not fine. The data we want to do is from this resized image, and the file name that we're going to upload is going to be the ID of the post, PNG. Okay, so we're going to upload that now to WordPress, and that will give us a URL that we can then pull back, pass into Malibu. The image type is image URL, and the URL we can grab from WordPress here, so the media item, and actually we need to use this, the GUID. This will be the URL. We'll show this, we'll run this through, and you can be able to see that in a moment. And this time I'm going to specify the file name and also add in the ID again and click OK. Okay, so let's run these automations through. Again, make sure everything's working as we expect. So out of the resized item, we can see we now have an image, which is, here's the data, the width and the height are 600, which is what we want. We created a media item in WordPress, and here it is. So this is the GUID, or the URL to the image. So I copy that and paste that into here. So it's the image, still quite big, takes a while to load because it's still pretty big in size because we haven't compressed it yet. So again, the size of the image is here. It's smaller than it was before, but it's still too big for the web. So if we're going to Malibu here, look at the resized image. This is the compressed image URL now. So I go into here. Okay, so that's been downloaded now to my computer, and I can see it's 232 kilobytes, which is much more palatable. So as I mentioned previously, Malibu is a paid service, but it is actually pretty cheap. So if I go into the pricing here, into images, you can see that, you know, if you're doing only 10 requests a month, so only 10 compressions a month, then actually you can just use this free plan. But if you want more, then it can cost you, from 1 cent up to 3 cents, depending on how many compressions you end up doing per month. So, it still works out pretty cheap for the work that you're doing. So now we have our compressed image. We just need to upload that into WordPress. So next step is that we need to go and grab the file from Malibu. So again, we need to go and do this HTTP get a file. In here, this is the compressed image URL from Malibu. Okay, we need to go and create a media item again. So this is the media item within WordPress, which will be the final version of our image. So in here, create a media item. So again, we actually just want to map the fields because we want to set the file name ourselves. So the data will be from here, and the file name again is going to be media item ID PNG. And of course we want to add in the title of the article as I mentioned previously. Okay, that's it. So now we can go and update our post with that image. So go to update post. This is now uploading the image to WordPress directly into the blog post. Post type is posts. Post ID from here, post ID. That's from the database. So make sure this is going to be a draft. We go right down to the bottom here, and the featured medium item ID will be from the previous module media item ID. Click OK. Now, just to keep things tidy and to save clogging up your WordPress with a bunch of images you don't need, we can then go ahead and delete the image that we no longer need, the one that was around 1.7 megs. So let's do delete a media item in here. The media item we want to delete is this one. So this is the original media item we created before we compressed the image. Click OK. So the last thing that we want to do is we want to update the database to have the URL to the resized and compressed image within WordPress, because we're going to use that same image on all of our social media that promotes that post, that blog post. So the thing with Midjourney is that the URL to the media that we create is temporary. It disappears very quickly. You won't be able to access that image if you don't go and grab it like very quickly. If we upload the image to WordPress, we control that. We can have that image there for as long as we like. So the compressed and resized image will be uploaded to WordPress, and we just need to add that link to the database so that when we come and create our social posts in an automated way, we can just go and grab that image from WordPress and insert it into our social media posts. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and go to the data store again, and we need to go update our record. So again, select the data store, and the key will be, go right back to here. It's this key here. So it's the same one for both of these, but we can choose this one. And the post ID we don't need to update because we've just got the key here. And in the image URL, we want to add the image. This is the media item, the GUID here, which is the link to the image. Click OK. Okay, so if we run these automations from last time. Okay, so both the webhooks are running, and I'll run this automation. So here it is, the automation has run. We've resized the image. We've created a media item in WordPress with that image that we've uploaded. We've provided that URL to Malibu to compress the image. We then got that file. We've created a new media item with the resized compressed image. We've updated the WordPress blog with the image that we've compressed and created. And then we've gone ahead and deleted that larger image that we no longer need. And we've updated the database with the URL of the image so that we can use it later in our social media posts. Great, and now the image should have been uploaded into the WordPress post, into our blog for us to see. So if we just check the data store, if I go ahead and refresh this, we should be able to see the URL to the image that's been updated. And there it is. So if I copy and paste that out, and this is our nice resized and compressed image. It's been created for this post. We go back to the posts in WordPress. I think actually this is the one that's been created. So if I go ahead and preview that. We can see that our post has been created, and here's the image inserted as we wanted into the blog post, and the page loads plenty quick enough with that size image. So that's all good. So that concludes today's video. To summarize, we carried on where we left off in the last video, where we had created an article title, a design brief, and we sent over that design brief to Midjourney via the user API to create us some artwork. So we sent the brief to Midjourney. That artwork got created. It creates 4 images for us in an automated way. We always select the first image. We've compressed it, resized it, and uploaded it to WordPress and inserted it into our WordPress blog. And then we updated our database so that we can use that compressed and resized image later on when we come to create our social media. So that's what's next. We're going to create social media posts for LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're going to use some AI agents that we've created that are very specialized for writing for that specific platform. And we're going to upload those posts to a Google Sheet where we can review them and edit them if we want to as a human being. And once we're happy, we'll approve those posts and they'll get sent off to the social media platforms, or to Buffer in this case that we're using, to schedule out our posts. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching to the end, and we'll see you in the next video. If you're interested in this automation and grabbing hold of the unbelievable opportunity that exists today for AI automators, then I recommend you check out my school community, where you can download this blueprint, many more, and be up and running in a matter of minutes. It's this simple. Navigate to the blueprint you want to download in the school community, go over to make.com and select import blueprint, and you're ready to go. In the school community, we also have automation learning materials and access to a full calendar of events, including masterclasses, Q&As, co-working sessions and live streams. When it comes to AI automation, if you want to up your game, then this community is for you. Head over to school.com/AI-automations to get started.